How to form a limited liability company, LLC. Find out the steps you should take to form a limited liability company in any states. This beginner's guide covers procedures mandated by all states in the union. Additional requirements may be imposed by your state, so check with the Office of the Secretary of State in your state to ensure you are complying with all conditions related to LLCs. The information in this video applies to multiple member LLCs. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. How you doing today? I'm doing fantastic. If you're doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today I want to talk about LLC, how to form a limited liability company. Number one, choose a name for your LLC. Now, the name you're choosing must comply with your state's rules. All right. Please don't choose any kind of crazy names or whatever. No, you want to choose a name that is legit, that is legal, that doesn't invite any kind of controversy here. You just want to do things the right way. So while the rules varies by states, most states will require that your LLC name end with an LLC designator, such as limited liability company or limited company, or an abbreviation of one of these phrases. So it could be LLC or LC. That the name not be the same as the name of another LLC or business entity already registered with your state. So the thing here is that every state has an online database that you can check, where you can check whether or not the name you want to choose for your business is still available, or whether or not it has not been registered already and it's been used by another company. Remember though that a company can register a name and not use it. You have something called DBA, so doing business as. So you can have a company that is called, let's say, Marco, but is doing business as Franco, right? So if you are trying to register both Franco and Marco, you realize that there is a problem, right? So often for a small fee, you can reserve your LLC name for a short period of time until you file your articles of incorporation, your articles of organization rather, because for LLC, you talk about organization. For C Corp or S Corp, you talked about organization. So what I'm trying to say here is that you choose a name that is legit, that complies with your state's rules. And if you have a little bit of money, you can reserve that name before you file your articles of incorporation. Number two, you file articles of organization, not incorporation, organization. So to create your LLC, you must file articles of organization with your state's corporate filing office, often the Secretary of State. Now, there are some states in the union. I'm thinking New Jersey, Delaware, Mississippi, Washington, New Hampshire. They use the term certificate of formation. It is the same thing. So articles of organization or certificate of formation are interchangeable terms. Two other states, Pennsylvania and Massachusetts, they call the document a certificate of organization. So to learn about the specific requirements of forming an LLC in your state, it is important that you contact, as I said earlier, the Secretary of State, either by phone or via email or via regular mail, and they will send you all the info. Now, remember though that you can even get this form, the articles of incorporation, you can usually get them online or by using a form available on your Secretary of State's website. All 50 states have that. We checked. Our team checked. All 50 states have that. They have this online platform. You'll need your LLC's name, the name and address of its registered agent, and other basic information like how will the LLC be managed, for instance, or the names of the LLC owners. Now, remember that you also have to pay a filing fee when you submit the articles. The fees are kind of modest. They hover around $100 or $150, depending upon your states. But yeah, it's usually around $100 and $150. So after choosing a name for your LLC and filing articles of incorporation, you need to choose a registered agent. Now, all LLCs in all 50 states are required to have a registered agent. Now, this agent can be a company or an individual. The agent agrees to accept legal papers on behalf of the LLC if it is sued. Pay attention to that. A registered agent is someone or an organization that agrees to accept legal papers on behalf of the LLC if the latter is sued. So the registered agent must have a physical street address in the state where the LLC is registered. So before registering an LLC, think about the registered agent's address. If you don't have a registered agent in the states where you are registering the LLC, maybe you might want to change your strategy and switch to another state. Most states maintain a list of private service companies. Those are quote unquote commercial registered agent that will act as an agent for service or process for a fee. So some companies have specialized in this sort of registered agency in the last 10 to 15 years, and they will charge you something every month, and in exchange they'll take care of your legal paperwork. Remember that an LLC member can also act as registered agent for the LLC. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous here. Please smash that like button and comment below and share your experience if you have dealt with LLCs in the past, or you own an LLC yourself. Also, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and please turn on the notification bell so you are aware whenever we drop a new show, and we do this every single day. Number 4, decide on member versus manager management. Now, when it comes to an LLC, you can decide whether you want to run the company through members or you want to run the company through a manager. Most small LLCs choose to be managed directly by their members, but LLCs are free to appoint one or more people, the outsiders, to manage the LLC. I'm talking here about a board of directors or a board of overseers or a board of trustees, right? This is kind of analogous to what you have in the corporate world, where you have a board of directors overseeing a corporation. Now, managers vote on key issues such as taking out a loan, purchasing real estate, or changing strategic plans. Number 6, create an LLC operating agreement. Now, this is a key document, folks. This is where everything goes down. This is where all the nitty gritty is explaining everything. So even though most states in the union don't require it, we strongly suggest that you have an operating agreement for your LLC. We have an entire show dedicated to LLC operating agreement. You might want to double check that. This document, this internal document, establishes how your LLC will be managed, including how the LLC will also be ending if this were to be the scenario. In the absence of an operating agreement, state law will govern how your LLC operates, and this is something you don't want. You don't want nobody to tell you how to manage your business, so you need to have this operating agreement. Number 6, comply with tax and regulatory requirements. Now, when it comes to LLCs, there are additional tax and regulatory requirements. For instance, you have EIN. So if your limited liability company has more than one member, it must obtain its own IRS identification number, even if it has no employee. So this is something you have to think about, and this is for multi-member LLC. Now, if you have a one-member LLC, you must obtain an EIN only if the LLC will have employees, or you elect to have it taxed as a corporation rather than a sole proprietorship, what the IRS calls disregarded entity. So you can obtain an EIN by completing an online EIN application on the IRS website. We'll definitely put the link in the description if you need more info about that, but it's straightforward. If you go to the IRS website and you type complete an online EIN application, you'll see it. Another thing you need to think about when it comes to regulatory requirements is business licenses. So depending on the type of business and where it is located, your LLC may need to obtain other local and state business licenses. So you want to quickly do some research and check with the appropriate state agencies to ensure you are properly registered, licensed, and permitted to do business in your state. Because the last thing you need here is to have a lawsuit coming to you, either from the state or from a private party, from a customer, where you can't even defend yourself because you don't have the proper license. Also, I want you to think about sales and employer taxes. In some cases, for example, if you'll be selling goods and collecting sales taxes, or if you have employees, you'll need to register with the appropriate state taxing authority. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Q. We're also having a conversation here around how to form a limited liability company. And I've given you 6 steps already. And step number 7, you need to file annual report. A lot of states typically require LLCs to file an annual report with a filing fee. Now, in some states, the fee can be significant. We've seen in California or Texas or New York, we've seen fees going as high as $800 per year. Right, so that's very key, but it's good to know that you can plan and budget accordingly. And number 8, think about out-of-state LLC registration, because to do business in a state other than the state where your LLC was formed, you'll need to register your LLC in that state and appoint a registered agent for service of process. Right, this is kind of similar to. It's kind of similar to, for example, if you had to go overseas, you have to go to another country to run your LLC. When it comes to LLC, because LLCs are more state legal entities, so every state is kind of doing some protective commerce here, right? So they want to make sure you have the proper license. So pay attention to that. All right, folks, this is it. This is the end of today's conversation. It was a brief yet very full conversation around how to form a limited liability company. I spoke to you about how to choose a name for your LLC, how to file articles of incorporation or organization rather, how to choose a registered agent, how to decide on member versus manager management, how to create an LLC operating agreement, how to comply with tax and regulatory requirements, how to file annual reports, and also talk to you about out-of-state LLC registration. Before I go, let me give you a pro tip here. Some online platforms allow you to do all of the paperwork and procedural steps to start a limited liability company. So you can do a quick Google search and you'll find those platforms. And in some cases, it's free. All right? I'll catch up with you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.